Time will say nothing but I told you so. Time only knows the price we have to pay. If I could tell you, I would let you know. If we should weep when clowns put on their show, if we should stumble when musicians play, time will say nothing but I told you so. There are no fortunes to be told, although because I love you more than I can say, if I could tell you, I would let you know. The winds must come from somewhere when they blow.
Every year, 600,000 people go missing in the United States of America alone. That's a very high number. And when you start getting into the statistics of those found alive and those found deceased, the numbers become even more heartbreaking. Things happen on a daily basis in the United States of America, and not just here. It happens all over the world. People go missing and they're never found. I want you to take a moment and think about every season that missing loved one can't spend with their relatives. There's summer, spring, fall, winter, and then it repeats over and over again. Soon you have to begin to live your life as if you know they were already gone and they're not even found yet. At the end of January of this year, a woman who goes by the name of Alexis Ware would have disappeared. This case is completely covered in controversy. It's covered in hearsay, things that can't be corroborated, things that are brought to the forefront that make no sense. I discovered that when I began to analyze this case, it has a lot of information coming in from completely different directions. There's a lot of conspiracy that surrounds this. And that's something that is completely normal when you have a case like this, because it's basically, you know, a couple of key points and then the story blacks out. That's how the story goes. So people are forced to, I guess, use their imagination. People are forced to speculate on a whole nother level, because when you're provided very little details, it's hard to distinguish between what is concrete and something that just doesn't matter. But one thing that truly does matter is that Alexis Ware is missing. She's missing. Now, I don't know how many viewers I have out there who have been unfortunate enough to, you know, deal with a circumstance like this. You know, from my personal experience, I have. I know what it feels like to have a loved one missing and then having them found in tragic circumstances. You know, I'm not going to get into that. You know, that's a completely different story. But what I'm trying to bring to the forefront is this is someone's family member. This is someone's daughter. So I only ask one thing. Please be very mindful of what you'll leave in the comment section. Now, this story begins around the 28th, 29th. You know, it's the last weekend of January. Alexis would go and spend that weekend at her mother's home. She would leave Sunday around 12 noon. And by that evening, she would vanish. Alexis Ware would go missing.
Our Missing series tonight focuses on the mysterious disappearance of a young woman from South Carolina. Alexis Ware is a mother of two who vanished just before her 30th birthday, and no one can figure out why. Alexis was last seen at a gas station just outside of Greenville, South Carolina.
Anytime you have a case like this, there will always be the usual suspects. The exes, the baby fathers, maybe a disgruntled friend. When someone goes missing, 9 times out of 10, it's always a person who is close to them. And this case is no different. This case is just like any other case. When Alexis went missing, people kicked in overdrive. They began to bring up names of people that she had been with. Most specifically, her baby fathers. One of them, his name is Sosa. He too came under the radar. This is what he has to say.
Monday afternoon, Monday night, or it could have been Tuesday morning, somebody called my phone and say, they saying your baby mama missing. I say, well, I just talked to her over the weekend. I say, no, my baby mama ain't missing. I just talked to her over the weekend. They was like, yeah, look on Facebook. Immediately after I looked on Facebook, I seen it. I got in contact with the closest kin, and that's her cousin. But I'm not gonna say her name off the respect that I have for her husband. I said, what this, they talking about, Lex missing. She said, call my phone. She sent me her number through Facebook. When I got on the phone, I guess the family had already had like a conference call set up. And she added me to the conference call. She's like, y'all, this Reggie right here. And I said, what's going on? They was like, yeah, Lex missing. I say, for real? They was like, yeah. She's like, when the last time you talked to her? I said, I talked to her over the weekend. She was in Georgia. First thing I asked, coming to me as a father, said, where my child at? Because if my child was with Lex, then my child is missing as well. But her cousin say, I got Naomi good. I say, well, I'm gonna do what I need to do, and I'm gonna hit up everybody that I know Lex been in contact with, or Lex been hanging around with, or whatever like that.
Although Sosa was one of the baby fathers, he wasn't the last to see her. The last person to see her would be the father of her child, her latest child, a man who goes by the name of TJ. Now, TJ has had a couple of run-ins with the law, and he is currently on an ankle monitor. On this evening, TJ would meet Alexis at a 7-Eleven. He said that Alexis called him and asked him to take the children. He agreed. He met up with her, pumped gas in the car. Now, this is where the story goes left for a lot of people, because after he receives the children and they both pull out of the parking lot, he says this is when Alexis would basically smash the gas and, she would take off speeding down the road. He says that he called her a couple of times. She didn't pick up. He even texted the phone. Later on, he comes to find out that obviously the phone has been turned off. This is the last account of Alexis Ware having contact with a human being before she ultimately goes missing. So time elapses and Alexis Ware doesn't pop up anywhere. So now the family is concerned.
Well, happening now, it is a story we have been covering from the start. Today, the mother of a missing Greenville County mother of two, Alexis Ware, speaking out, asking for the entire community to come and help them find her daughter. She also issued an emotional plea to Alexis, telling her they just want her home.
Now, in the beginning of this investigation, the information about TJ meeting her at that gas station hadn't been released yet. We just knew that Alexis was missing at this point, with no clues, no sightings. So social media kicks into overdrive and they begin to investigate themselves, and this is how TJ began to come under the radar. You're the ex, so ultimately people are gonna say you're the one who did it. Now, it is supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, but people's emotions run high when someone is missing and you're the last guy who saw her.
She was last seen by her children's father at around 7:30 in the Anderson area. Now, she's from Greenville, but she was reported missing in Anderson. He saw her at the store, right?
Yeah, 7-Eleven on 29, Highway 29.
All right, so what happened? She dropped the kids off?
She called me, I was at my aunt's house watching the game. She called me, she said, TJ, where you at? I need you to come pick kids up. I'm about to get by the gas. So I said, okay, how far can you make it? She said, I got 3 miles left in the car. So I said, try to make it to 7-Eleven on 29. So she was like, okay. So she made it. I pulled up, and I got the kids, and she was like, give me a hug. I was like, man, you going to your mom? She said, I'm going to my mama's house. I said, okay. She said, well, I'm gonna follow you to your mother's house. So got in the car, got the kids or whatever, gave her a hug. She followed me, and then I get on Amity Road to the red light. She speed around me and took off down Anderson Belton Highway. I was calling the phone, seeing where she was at. She went out the phone, and about 2 minutes later, she cut it off.
But let's be very mindful that this guy had on an ankle monitor, which can go to substantiate a lot of things, such as the location of a car.
On Sunday, her car was found today in McCormick County, but she was not in the car. If you do see her or know anything about her disappearance, call deputies.
If his ankle monitor would have pinged anywhere near that car, they'd already have enough probable cause to draw up a warrant. So That kind of clears him. Now, the days leading up to the disappearance of Alexis Ware and her family's account were a little off. They described Lex as being the bubbly type girl, outgoing, spoke her mind, but they said in these last few days leading up to her disappearance, she just wasn't herself. This was a girl who did hair. She wanted to open up a boutique. She was basically one of those women who were striving for excellence. But in these days, the normally driven and, straightforward girl was turning into a former shell of herself. They said that she was acting very weird. She was purchasing lottery tickets at a very high rate. And I mean hundreds of dollars worth of lottery tickets. She even made a post on Facebook saying that she had won the lottery herself when in fact it wasn't true. They also speak that she had begun smoking marijuana when this totally wasn't her. It wasn't her thing, but lately she began to pick it up. They even have suspicion that maybe, she got a bad batch, something that was laced with something, which is very feasible. But I also need to make mention that it could have possibly just been the weed. I mean, different types of drugs do different things to different people. You won't have the same reaction to this as someone would have to that. So, in all honesty, it could have been the weed itself, giving her paranoia, having adverse effects. But regardless of the situation, according to her family, Lex was acting off. And it wouldn't be the only encounter with someone where, she would basically cast suspicion upon herself, for her behavior, because things would get even weirder.
Hey, it's your neighbor upstairs.
What's up?
I was letting you know that I ain't gonna lie, I do like root work and shit like that, but good and bad.
Now, I think that it's important that we start with the ring footage. That's very important to me. So, let's start there.
Hey, it's your neighbor upstairs.
What's up?
I was letting you know that I ain't gonna lie, I do like root work and shit like that, but good and bad.
The first thing that I want y'all to take note of is how she approached the neighbor's house, okay? She said, it's your neighbor from upstairs. And so what that told me was, they not cool like that. I've lived in apartments before, and when I went to my neighbor's house, I'm like, girl, open up the door, it's me. If I didn't just walk in there. But clearly, this ain't that. So I'm still confused as to why she even went to the neighbor's house. It seems so random. When she began talking to the neighbor, the very first thing that comes out her mouth, she said, I ain't gonna lie, I do root work, both good and bad. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. When I first heard it, I thought she was saying roof work, like R-O-O-F. And I'm like, damn, she do roof work? But then I later discovered she was saying root work. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I had no clue what that was. Didn't have a clue. And so I wanted to look into it. And when I first started to look into it, I was like, it scared me. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I was scared by that. Because me personally, I don't know nothing about this. And I felt some kind of way reading about it. But I felt that it was important that we look into it because she herself said it. It came out her mouth. It wasn't rumors. It wasn't speculation. No, she said it. So, we got to touch on this for just 1 second, y'all. We still riding. It says that slaves used root work and rituals for health curatives, to provide justice in the face of injustice, and to ask supernatural forces for protection against their oppressors. And I was like, wait a minute. When I started reading about supernatural powers and all that, that's kind of over my head, y'all. I ain't gonna even lie to you. But then it also says that root work is a conjure technique that involves using plants for magical work. Again, often for security and protection against violence. Apparently, this is not uncommon because here it says that this belief system is common in the southern United States and the Caribbean, and it attributes illness to witchcraft, hexing, voodoo, or spells. And I heard a lot of people like, oh, she was into black magic and this, that, and the other, right? But it says that this individual displays intense fear, symptoms of anxiety, and related somatic complaints, and typically remains in this state until a traditional healer called a root doctor removes the root.
So, root work, it's not one of my expertise, honestly. This is the first time I've ever even heard of this word with this case. I've heard of things like voodoo and things of that sort of nature. This kind of ties in with it, but at this point, I want people to realize that, in the days leading up to her disappearance, she was obviously going through some mental trouble. Now, I'm sure that as adults, most of us have already tried weed. We know the effects that it has. It can heighten paranoia. I don't care who you are. If you're in a state that it's not legal, every headlight behind you looks like a police light. So, it does, in fact, increase the paranoia. Now, I want you to think about that with a girl who is obviously going through some trouble right now. She's having a mental breakdown. She's smoking weed, but she is also practicing dark magic. And if you're a believer in that art, then you believe this wholeheartedly. That means you are going to live this. So everything that dark magic, or should I say root work, teaches about is, basically out of this world. It's not normal. It's different realms of spirituality, and they have rituals that they can perform to do this or curse that person. And be very mindful that at this time she's smoking weed. She is practicing dark magic, and put that together with the heightened paranoia, and you have a concoction for disaster. Because if you're going through a mental breakdown or mental trouble and you add drugs on top of that, and then you increase that paranoia by practicing this root work or dark magic, it leaves a lot of doors open in this case to explore. Everything about her disappearance is puzzling. Now, when it comes to TJ and his story of what happened at 7-Eleven, the surveillance camera would be pulled and the family would in fact view this footage. However, a few seconds after Lex pulls up and meets TJ, an 18-wheeler delivering soda cans would actually block the entire view. So whatever transpired behind that 18-wheeler is beyond our reach. We can only speculate. However, Alexis's daughter did actually give her account of what happened, and she says that basically mama gave TJ a hug, and then she sped off in the car, leaving the speculation on where she went, or maybe if she went to meet someone. Now, her phone did ping and she was tracked all the way to Augusta, Georgia, and then back into South Carolina. But then when the phone goes off, obviously you can't track her at this point, so things go blank. And when it comes to security cameras, we all know that they'll spend millions of dollars to do, miscellaneous things. But when it comes to things important such as security, you always see this crappy little video. And I haven't seen the video myself, but judging by all the surveillance cameras I have seen, it's not like they can distinguish who was driving the car at what point. So this just leads them back to square one at the 7-Eleven where she disappeared. And I guarantee you that every time the police try to investigate this, it's a complete circle. Now, as to the whereabouts of her car that was located in McCormick, the family says that she knows nothing about McCormick. She's probably never even been there. She knows no one there, so the reason for her car being there is completely out of the ordinary. Her family testifies that she probably has never even been to McCormick. She knows no one out there. She had no business there to begin with. And on top of that, a few of her personal items was found outside of the car on the ground, such as her bonnet. Her keys were still located there. Everything about this is suspicious, and everything about this looks to be staged. Which leads to the question, staged how? Well, I have a theory on what I believe happened. I will present it. It's not something that you should take at face value. Again, this is my opinion, because this can go either two ways. I have two separate theories. The first theory is that she was possibly abducted and, someone brought harm to her, and now we're just waiting to find her. Or there's another theory that has circled my head that maybe she wanted to disappear and that maybe she staged this herself. Now, according to testimony from the people around her, Alexis was a smart girl. She was a go-getter. She was all about being driven. So she would be a girl who would be smart enough to find a way out if she wanted a way out. So I sit down and I try to put myself in her shoes. She was doing root work, obviously trying to get back at an ex-boyfriend. Now, if I was someone who wanted to disappear and make someone pay at the same time, I would first establish a motive as to why I would be missing, which makes sense if that's the reason why she posted that lottery ticket, to give a motive to establish why someone would want her.
Somebody called me and they say, "You seen your baby mama post?" I was like, "Nah, what she posted?" They're like, "She posted a lottery ticket or something, like she done won the lottery." I say, "Well, if she did, that's her business. I'm happy for her."
Now, after the motive is established, the next thing I need is a witness. But it can't be a regular witness such as a mother or a friend. It has to be someone close, real close, such as a neighbor. Someone has to be there to substantiate my claim that I was in fact being abused in my home.
Why are you moving? I just gotta get away. My ex, just everything, the abuse. I'm just tired. And the only way I know I can get away from him, like, you live in the state? Yes.
The first thing that I want y'all to take note of is how she approached the neighbor's house, okay? She said, "It's your neighbor from upstairs." And so what they told me was, they not cool like that. I've lived in apartments before, and when I went to my neighbor's house, I'm like, "Girl, open up the door, it's me." If I didn't just walk in there. But clearly, this ain't that. So I'm still confused as to why she even went to the neighbor's house.
I would need that person to tell the police that I had in fact came to their home and made them aware that I was being abused. So that takes care of the motive and the witness. Now this lays the groundwork so that when I go missing, the police will immediately suspect foul play. Now the last thing that I would need to do before disappearing is make sure that the person who I want to pay would be the last person seen with me alive. Now, somewhere around that public place, I would have to make it obvious that I was trying to get away from you, such as speeding off from the scene.
She's like, "Give me a hug me." So I hugged her, you know what I'm saying? The hug didn't feel right, something wasn't right. So I got there and hugged, got in the car, and I pulled off. For y'all the one that's in Anderson, I turn on Amity Road as I pass Welfare Church. I barely passed Welfare Church. And she got dang on, she sped around me, bust right going out Anderson Belton Highway.
This shows me in fear, and then I vanish. Now, that's just my theory, or one of the theories that have went through my mind, because there are no certain answers in this case. Again, it's all speculation. But amongst all the theories that surround this case, somewhere out there, Alexis Ware might still be alive, or she could be deceased. I truly hope that my second theory is true and that she's somewhere amongst this world, aimlessly roaming around, waiting to come forward. That would be the best case scenario. There is still hope that she could still be alive. Until we know for certain, I'm gonna keep my mindset that Alexis is still out here. And if she is, hopefully she turns up soon. The family believes that foul play is definitely involved. They think that she might not be alive. And, my heart goes out to the family because that's some very hard information to process. I remember having to process that information myself, After those days start trickling out and, time begins to elapse, you truly begin to lose hope. You begin to question everyone around you. Bringing someone who is missing back home is probably one of the greatest gifts you can receive, because we all know the saying, you never know what you had until something is gone.
I'm fucked up, oh yeah, I know it. all alone with mixed emotions. Yeah, gotta keep my temper from running wild. Need someone to hold my horses. Cause I go fast, yeah, I go hard. Wanna find some peace, so I pray to God to find a way to fix it all.